Welcome to Monday through Sunday. I'm Logan.
I'm Sanam.
And I'm Lane. We're best friends, the founders of Blossom Brands, and the hosts of this podcast.
We can't wait to take you behind the scenes of running a 7-figure agency with our best friends.
We're sharing our mistakes, our lessons learned, and giving you tactical advice to build the career, the business, and the relationships you dream of, and a life you don't need a weekend to escape from.
So let's get balanced and let's get down to business. Welcome to the show.
Here we are. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Monday through Sunday podcast.
Woohoo! I can't believe you just said that.
I know. I can't believe we're here. I am so happy to be here. And I'm more importantly so happy that all of you, our audience, are here with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up on this episode. It truly means the world. You have no idea. So let's just get right into it because there's so much we want to talk about, so many things to dive into, and we don't want to waste a minute of your time. So my name is Logan Lockhart, and I am so excited to be here with my two best friends, my business partners, and now my co-hosts, the lovely Lane Lipo and Sanam Ghanaian. Hi, gals.
Hello. So excited we're finally here.
I can't believe we're actually recording our first episode. This is wild.
I'm still shook that we were able to squeeze in the recording before Lane gave birth, but we did it. We're here.
Grateful, thankful, blessed for that. Seriously.
It has been a
Shout out
journey.
Lipo for being able to keep that baby in your body. Thank you so much.
He might come tomorrow. We'll see.
Well, we welcome him with open arms because at that point, the first episode's recorded. So whatever you want to do after this hour, you're good to go. We support you.
Yes, indeed. How are you guys feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energized. I'm just feeling kind of all the feels right now, but mostly really ecstatic.
Same. I feel like, full disclosure, this is not the first time we've tried to record this episode. So I am just ready to get in here, knock it out of the park, and call it a day so Lynn can go into labor because we've just been begging her to wait until we got this recorded and we made it.
Yes, seriously. It has been a journey, but we are here. We intentionally waited to record our first episode today, which is 1 week before we launch, even though we've been recording episodes all summer long. So we have weeks of episodes that we already have planned to go live over the next couple of months. I don't know why there's so much anticipation and pressure about the first episode. We've been doing this for months.
Yeah.
There's anticipation because we unexpectedly made the top trailer charts, and then we unexpectedly landed number 2 behind Alex Earl. So more people are listening than we expected, which is a very scary feeling. And now it's okay, this is real. When we're talking, people are listening versus oh, we're just having a conversation we have been the past few podcast recordings. So now I feel the stakes are higher and we're getting in our heads. We can't get in our heads because this is the same situation as it always has been. But yeah, I agree. It's kind of real.
And casually dropped, we were number 2 last week behind Alex Earl's podcast. What in the world? What is life? This is not real life. I'm so
the fact
shook.
that our faces were right smack dab next to her face.
Forever the biggest ego boost of our careers.
Truly.
Before we get too far along, I kind of want to bring us back to give the people an introduction as to who we are, how we met, and kind of why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, people are probably who are you guys?
So we all started working at a marketing agency several years ago, working with well-known prestige beauty and fashion brands. So think Fenty Beauty, Marc Jacobs Beauty, DKNY, Tumi, the works. And I just feel there's so much to say about working with brands at that caliber, but that's a whole other episode that we can get into. We were all very driven, but we also all had toxic relationships with work. It's very easy when you're an overachiever to kind of label your marriage to work as this stepping stone in your career, when in actuality, specifically for me, the fear of failure, the fear of unknown, and sometimes the lack of confidence was masked as this sense of purpose. And so that was kind of how we were operating every single day on this day-to-day, working in the corporate ladder environment.
That was a whole nother lifetime ago. Literally.
That was a different life. It was a different
That was a different life. One I'm grateful to have had, but one I'm so grateful to be not living.
Yeah.
100%. So fast forward, after facing tons of burnout and consulting some family and friends, we left. We started our own business. The business started as Lane and I over 5 years ago. And then about 2 years in, we had made our first 2 hires, our 2 coordinators, which we absolutely love. But we wanted to bring someone on that had our level of skill. And at that point in running a business, it is very scary and daunting, the idea of bringing someone on that is at your skill level. You're I don't know what to do, how to go about this. I don't want to think about hiring. And we were thinking of our personal network, and we had toyed with the idea of reaching out to Logan in the past because we had a great experience working with her at our prior agency when we all did work together. But she was still working there, and we didn't want to like ruffle any feathers. We wanted to wait until she left. We saw on LinkedIn that Logan left the job for a different agency, and we're like, okay, this is perfect. She just left. What a great time to give her another job offer. And so then we perfectly crafted this text message only for you to text us that you were turning us down. And me, with my personality, I was like, well, shoot, what are we going to do? Let's look at XYZ options. And Lane goes, no, give me the phone. And starts crafting this text message like, no, we're going to get her back. Like, so now we will get her in. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how this is going to look, but sure, whatever, take an attempt. And then 3 days later, we are all having dinner at Hudson House in Dallas, convincing you to come on board. And the rest is history. Now we're all partners and running this business.
And to be fair, the only reason I turned y'all down is because I didn't really understand you were looking for a partner. I was like, I really just like want to be them. I don't really want to like work for them. And then they all were like, no, like that's not what we're looking for. And I was like, oh, then I take it back. Please like still have me.
In prepping for this episode, this past weekend, we were like, let's go back and find those texts. I'm just like so curious what they actually said. And I went back and literally found them. So in the future, one day we'll read them to you guys because they were crafted
we'll put them up on stories because honestly, they're really funny.
They were like really sweet. I was like, oh, we're so cute and sweet from the start.
We were really like respectful of each other's feelings.
Yeah.
And like when Lane wants something, she just like gets it done. So whenever I go on a really good date and I'm texting a guy afterward, I always resort to Lane. I'm like, okay, what do I do? What do I say? This is the message that I want to evoke, but like, I don't want to say it in these terms. And Lane will perfectly craft this message that gets the exact response I want. Yep. So in short, Lane is just the perfect message crafter.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Logan is great at like really conveying what she wants to say the right way. So when I read your text message, I was like, I know exactly where she's coming from and I know what she doesn't understand. What she doesn't understand is what we're actually looking for. And so I need to just phrase this in the right way so she gets it. And like, problem was solved.
Yep. And the rest is history.
That is the story of how Logan joined our team.
Couldn't be happier.
5 years later, our business has grossed well over 7 figures, which is just a crazy sentence to say. And we work with badass brands that we're consumers of, which might I add, being a marketer and authentically being able to put yourselves in the shoes of the consumers that you are trying to reach is the coolest feeling ever. I personally had this feeling when we signed on Lola, the feminine care brand, because I was personally a subscriber for 5 years. So then being able to talk to the CEO, let her know my thoughts as to how it's been as an experience from a subscriber perspective was just freaking crazy. And so it's been a wild journey.
So now that we've said a little bit about us, I think we should maybe just like jump into why a podcast, how did we get to the point where like we are digital marketers. We know nothing about being in really the public space or about audio or anything to do with starting a podcast. So why are we doing this? That's a question I still ask myself some days. If I'm being honest, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is so not me. We thought it would be
a good idea to give ourselves another full-time job on top of running our business. Why not?
Seriously. So I guess that this all goes back to February of this past year. We were on a leadership retreat. So we like to take time once, maybe twice a year. We try twice a year to like plan a really nice trip, get away, not look at any client work, just like have time where we can brainstorm. We can think big picture. We can talk about our goals from a work perspective, from a personal perspective. I think that that's one of like the beauties of working with our best friends is these types of retreats are actually just like girls trips with your best friends. So anyways, we were just like in this really creative mindset, like what do we want to do next? Not that we don't love digital marketing, not that we don't like love the clients we work with, the team that we work with, but we were like, let's think bigger. Like what is the next step for us? And I think that we all were in alignment that we love helping people achieve their big, massive goals. For us, the past 5 years, it's been brands, entrepreneurs, helping them reach the right consumer, doing so in a tactful way, doing so in a way that is creative and unique and really drives like results and success for their brands. And it's been like the most fulfilling thing for us, even though we're just like, it's clicks on the internet, we're helping people do what they are like dreaming of doing. And I think we all agreed that like, that's where we find purpose in what we're doing. And we just were, we were like, how can we do this at a bigger scale for more people that don't have $100,000 to spend on marketing? And lo and behold, we were like, a podcast. We can have real, authentic conversations about how we've done this for ourselves because, we're not just doing this for our clients. We're doing it day to day for the three of us every single day. And I think that there's a lot to be said about how we've done it. And we think that it's second nature because we've been doing it for so long. But when I talk to friends and my sisters and, they're graduating college and they're feeling stuck and like, they don't know how to navigate this type of world. And I'm like, there's so much that we can teach, that we can spread. So that's really our purpose. Our mission is to spread the message that with a little bit of balance in your life, your work, your school, your careers, your day-to-day, it doesn't have to suck and it can really be fulfilling. And that's what we're here to teach.
Couldn't agree more and couldn't have said it better myself.
I know. So true. And it's honestly been really cool. Like, obviously we just put the trailer out like 3 weeks ago. And so we haven't even dropped an episode yet, but the feedback that we've gotten has been so overwhelmingly positive. And like, we've already had people coming to us and being like, oh my gosh, like seeing you guys really like helped me and inspired me. And that is just like the coolest feeling that I've really never had before with any kind of work. Like, you think of work as something you do in private just to like earn a paycheck, but like the fact that our work is now like public facing and is like actually helping other people is like, I could like cry thinking about it. Like, it's just so wild.
Like, we haven't even launched an episode yet. And our podcast editor this morning, who we hired as a podcast intern,
Shout out Eleanor.
4 months ago, she's on this recording with us because she's editing our episode for us. And she said, she was like, guys, I would not be doing what I'm doing right now if I haven't been behind the scenes listening to your episodes every week. Like, she was looking for a full-time corporate job, and we hired her like part-time as an intern and really encouraged her to get on Upwork to find more positions that could help her, just like build her own presence and her own career, taking one-off gigs and freelancing. And lo and behold, she's doing it. And we just promoted her to podcast editor full-time. And
Woo-hoo!
She's just like, and that's like so inspiring for us because that's exactly what we're trying to show people is like, that is possible. You can do that. And it's not, there's a way you can get insurance. Like, there's all of these things that hold people back from doing it. And once you just break down those walls, break down those barriers, it's possible. So that's what we're here to chat about. But what I want to know actually is, Sanam and Logan, like, what would you say is the number one thing that you are most excited about launching the podcast?
I would say, like, the deeper purpose behind it is the amount of times that women specifically have asked me, how do you start a business? Like, what are the practical steps and all the things that go into it after you start the business? I have shared this resource of this email list that my brother drafted us 5 years ago to so many people. And now it's like, okay, great. We have so many in-depth conversations pre-recorded that we can share to women as a resource to give them the confidence to be able to start it. Because reading the list is one thing, but then talking it through with you guys really makes a difference. And so if we can give someone the confidence to start something new or step outside of their comfort zone with a little bit more padding of knowledge, that just means like the absolute world to me. But then on the surface side of things, it's like I have an outlet now to talk about my obsession with Dyson hair products. And I'm so excited for the world to hear my absolute passion when it comes to the things that I'm obsessed with. So that's just like a little fun side of it.
And also, not to mention, now that email from your brother that outlines how to start a business is our third podcast episode. So if you're interested in that info from Sanam, go listen to that episode, which is also available now.
Woohoo! Shout out Ramen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramen.
We love you, Ramen. Okay, Logan, how about you?
Oh my gosh, where do I even begin? I just feel so incredibly fortunate and blessed to live the life that we do. I think the amount of happiness, the amount of freedom, abundance, opportunity, all of these things that I have in my life today wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't met the two of you, Lane and Sanam. So I just really think back to like the time in my life before all of this. And I feel really bad for that girl. She was frankly really poor.
But she was so sweet. Love
and
her.
miserable. She was so sweet and she was trying so hard, but she just wasn't getting anywhere. And
No, she was.
She was. No, she really wasn't. Because she was trying to climb this corporate ladder that at the end of the day, like, wasn't my path. And like, it really, like, I've always felt this calling to, like, I always wanted to like start a business. I always wanted to like live this life that's like focused on freedom and what I want and like not just like people pleasing. And like, I wasn't very good at that. Like I talked back to my bosses and things that like rational, smart people wouldn't do because I really thought that things didn't have to be that way. And I just like didn't want to fit the mold. And so this morning I was literally doing a meditation. It literally brought me to tears thinking about just like how thankful I am that everything lined up like in the perfect way to get us to where we are today. And I just want more people to have that because I see the dichotomy between who I was and who I am now. And that wouldn't be possible without you two. It wouldn't be possible without this business that we are so fortunate to have together. And it wouldn't be possible without this podcast, which I feel like has fueled an even new, like creative part of my journey that like truly sets my soul on fire. Like I love being creative and just everything and connecting and just everything that's about what we're doing now just feels so aligned. So for all of that to say, anybody that feels the way I used to, I see you, I hear you, and I want those people to know that there is another way.
I'm going to cry. That was so sweet and well said. And I 100% agree with everything you said. Also, just going to quickly plug the fact that our friendship episode is also available, which is our second episode.
So good.
Lane is killing the host duties.
Well, you just like so perfectly wrapped up like what is the most important part of what we do, and it is our relationships with each other. And that like at the core, like I would not be a happy person just starting a business if it wasn't with people that I felt like were fueling me every day. Like I'm not someone that was like, oh, I just want to start a business. I want to grow a business. I want to make money. Like, yes, that's important to me too. But who I'm doing it with is like way more important. And so I think that those two in like correlation are like 100% the bulk of like everything that we talk about, the basis of everything that we do.
100%. And so that being said, each week we're going to be taking you guys behind the scenes of everything we've learned through this crazy journey that Logan, Lane, and I were just talking about, from finding balance, building healthy relationships, meaningful friendships, and just basically creating new habits that allow you to live this beautiful life that you always have dreamed for yourself. And so we'll be covering all of that and more in our first few episodes, like Lane touted so beautifully. But obviously, for the future, we would love to hear, are there any topics that you guys would like us to dive deeper into, whether it's more work-oriented, friendship, routines, whatever it may be. We can clearly talk your ears off, and we would love to be able to give you exactly what you're looking for. So that being said, as this community grows, as we evolve, we would love to hear from you. So feel free to slide into our DMs at Monday through Sunday Pod on Instagram, or shoot us an email to hello@mondaythroughsundaypod.com to let us know what you'd like to hear in future episodes.
Yes. And even if you just have questions about us, like if you're like, wait, I'm confused, how did this happen? Or anything you want to know, we're an open book. So just let us know.
All right, perfect. So I think with that, this is the perfect time to go ahead and dive into today's topic. And to be totally honest, it was so hard to choose where we should start and what we should talk about on our very first episode. Like Lane mentioned, we've been recording all summer, so we've got some good content for you guys, but there was extra pressure to really knock it out of the park on this first one. And like, how do we take all the things that we want to talk to you about, like friendship, business, how to structure your life, and jam pack it into one life-changing episode that's going to leave you begging for more? And the truth is, we realized that you can't do that. You can't put everything into one episode. So what we're going to do is take a step back and share with you just a few tips, tricks, and one major mindset shift that helped us go from stressed out workaholics to living a life that we truly love. So first, I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Imagine a world where you didn't have to work. What would you spend your days doing? What would your weeks look like? Your weekends? Would you travel more? Spend more time with loved ones? Prioritize your health and well-being? Imagine you've gotten to do all these things. What would that feel like? Lane, I see you really getting into it over there. So tell me what that feels like.
Honestly, it feels like my life right now because literally like I think that I do all of those things through my work. And I know that that's probably where you're going with this.
A+.
But like truly, I'm like, I would spend more time with the people that I work with and use my work to inspire me and motivate me to do more. So I think I crushed that meditation.
I think you killed it.
And I really liked this impromptu meditation mid-episode. I think it like re-energized me. So thank you.
Of course, of course. So whatever you pictured, Lane, I love that what you pictured is so aligned with what your life looks like right now. But I want to speak to anybody who maybe you pictured something that doesn't align with what your life looks like right now. And that's okay. I would argue that whatever it is that you just pictured in your head is what your idea of true happiness looks like. It's what you want to do more of if given the opportunity. And I want your life on a day-to-day to look more like that life. But the reality is, and we totally get that we all have to make a living. So we can't spend all day, every day meditating and living our best mindful lives. Like we've got to bring home the paycheck. And so with that comes the concept of work-life balance, which this is nothing new. And this is basically this like unspoken agreement between you and your employer. And you're like, hey, I won't let my personal life interfere with working hours. And in exchange, your employer should agree not to bother you after hours.
Although they probably will.
Let me be the first to tell you that work-life balance is a scam. And here's why. The average person spends 90,000 hours in their lifetime working. That is over a third of your life.
That's so crazy. I did not
Isn't
know
that
wild?
A third of your life you spend living for someone else.
Woof.
Whoa. Yeah. So I don't know about y'all, but I have a problem with that. Like, yes, I want to make money. Yes, you do have to please the boss sometimes, but my life is for me. I'm not going to sacrifice a third of it to somebody who's just trying to squeeze me for all I'm worth.
And in so many of those situations, you're also probably not only working 9 to 5. If you are anything like us when we were corporate girlies, we were for sure working 8 to 7 p.m. most days. So that a third of your life, I feel like just probably jumped up to almost closer to half of your life, which is just beyond nuts.
A half of your life and like 100% of your sanity, right?
Yeah, because then you can't like, okay, in that scenario you just said of like, then you have your nights and your weekends to do what you want, to pursue your dreams, to pursue your passions. You don't have any energy to do it. Like you are so to your core exhausted, wiped, like in not a good mental place because you're so drained from what you're doing that then even that second half of your life or 2/3 of your life that is for you is going to shit.
Oh, well, it's not even 2/3 because it's basically a third is working, a third is sleeping, and a third is living. So of your waking hours, you only have 1/3.
1/3.
So all that
my
being said,
gosh.
our argument is that work-life balance is a scam. True balance can only be found when your work and your life live in harmony with each other instead of needing boundaries to stay in their lane.
Logan, I couldn't have said it better myself. Like when you really think from an outside perspective about what work-life balance means, meaning like I have to give 40 hours of my week every week to do things like that do not make me feel fulfilled or do not give me like a sense of purpose in order to get to live part of my life that does. And I think just like the idea of having 100% of your hours working towards like what you want in life is just so much smarter. So why aren't we all doing this? So yes, we're going to chat through a couple ways to actually bring that to life. I'm going to start with what I think was the most important for me, and that is changing your relationship with work. That might sound like a high level concept, but when you break it down, like there's a couple tactical ways that we can do that. So the first thing I would ask you is like, what emotion does the word work evoke in you? So I think a lot of people might have things like anxiety, stress, fear, responsibilities, to-do lists, things like that. And what I want, like at the end of the day, like what our goal should be is to have work evoke a positive emotion in you. So something like joy, possibilities, opportunities, relationships, things that you're working towards versus things that like pull you away from what you're working towards. And how can we do that? So what are some like tactical ways that we can really like change what that word means to us? And first off, I'm going to say like change the narrative. So instead of being like, I have to go to work today, I have to, take these 6 calls today, I have to, whatever it is you have to do, just tiniest mindset shift is replace that with you get to. I get to go to work. I get to, have these meetings that I've worked really hard to get to the point where I get to be a part of. I get to do work that pays the bills. And I think that there's like a lot of ways to be grateful for the work you do. If you absolutely hate your job and everything about it, like we're going to talk to you more about how to get a different one, how to find what does fuel you that you can be grateful for. So that's for a whole nother episode, but just like try to focus on the things from work that you are grateful for versus the things from work that cause crippling anxiety. And the more you focus your attention on something, the more that becomes true.
I think that is so true. And we as humans, I think, really overestimate our ability to compartmentalize our life. Like we think that, okay, I hate my job, but I love my life. So if I just keep my job in the job bucket, it won't leach onto everything else. But the reality is it affects your energy, just like you were saying, Lane. And I think that overall, how you show up to the world is how you perceive the world. And so when you feel like the world is a positive place, you're going to come at it with positive energy and you're going to get positive outcomes. So I think that all ties back into what you're saying about changing your relationship and truly how changing your relationship can change the outcome.
100%. You can't show up to work being a negative person. I hate my life. I hate doing this, and show up to your personal life feeling like, I love my life. This is perfect, because that's just not real synergy. And when you change your mindset about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and you have gratitude for the work that you're doing, you show up excited, you have joy, you are really passionate about what you're doing and how you're spending your days, that mindset really carries over to every aspect of your life. And that is something that I've really experienced firsthand. I think that I used to live my life on a day-to-day basis with so much anxiety. Everything I did gave me anxiety. Every conversation I had gave me anxiety. And now I truly have a different mindset about everything, my relationships, my personal life, my workouts, my everything, because I really think that my relationship with work has bled into my relationship with everything else that I do.
Lane, I agree with that. And I feel like you really helped me with this mindset. You really kept changing and correcting the words I would say to you when I'd be waking up and being like, oh, I'm stressed, or I have this going on, I have that going on. You're like, Sonam, you get to do these things. Like you get to have this meeting with this dream brand that you've always wanted to work with. And that's something that you've always wanted to do. Like 7 years ago when we were talking about starting a business, like what we're doing now is exactly what you would have wanted. But sometimes you lose sight of all those things when you're in the midst of it and when you're in the moment. And so I appreciate this reminder.
100%.
So I would encourage all of you to write the top 3 things that you are most grateful for about the work that you do. And that's probably like the first step in trying to change your relationship on a day-to-day with your work and the work that you're doing.
I love this, and I really feel connected to this conversation because for me personally, the way I changed my relationship with work was adding in so much more fun into my day-to-day. So for me, I've coined it as like the balance of the bop. I love to bop around different parts of LA and just kind of like see what I'm in the mood to do. In LA, there are so many different pockets of town, each kind of invite their own sense of energy, different crowds of people, different vibes. And so I love kind of mixing and like going about seeing what I have on my agenda for my work and then seeing what I'm in the mood for in my day and then kind of like plan everything in accordingly. It has truly changed my mentality when it comes to work. I feel like Lane and Logan have seen this transition in me firsthand. I used to see how I could incorporate my social life and my active life into work, and now I incorporate my work into my social and active life. For example, like last Friday, I went to yoga and then in Brentwood. Then I went to the Brentwood Country Mart, got myself a coffee, sat on the picnic table, worked on my industry newsletter for 2 hours, got myself some nice lunch, bopped over to the Palisades, went to Alfred's, worked a little bit more there, shopped around, went on a hot girl walk, picked up a pizza and went home. And it was like the perfect day. And you could see it's like I did I had fun, I was social, and I worked. And it was when I went to bed at the end of the night, I wasn't just thinking about what I did for my work, which is how I used to go about my days last year. I used to think, okay, this is what I have to do for my work. And then maybe if I have energy after, I'll like try and coordinate a happy hour with a girlfriend. And that's not the way I like to go about things anymore. Now, I'm just way happier when I start my mornings because I don't think about, okay, I'm just going to do the same thing, which is wake up, walk, work, TV, sleep, which was very much my reality in 2022. And now it's very much, okay, I'm going to wake up. What do I want to do today? I want to do yoga. I want to go eat at this place. I want to go bop to this part of town. And so I plan that first and I incorporate how my work is going to fit into that. And so now I just feel like when it comes to my family relationships, my friendships, my work, my dating life, everything, I'm just such a happier, more present person because I have achieved that sense of balance in my life versus kind of having and reserving my fun for the weekends.
And I think so many people think that, oh, I can't do it that way because my priority needs to be work because work is what I'm spending the most time doing. But you just outlining your day, you can still work the same amount of hours in the day, but just plan your work around your personal life versus the opposite.
It just takes a little bit of creativity and planning.
And maybe you can't right now do all of the things that Sanam is talking about. Maybe your work is not flexible enough where you can just like be bopping around LA all day and like kind of simultaneously be working. But I would just encourage you to think about like one way you can integrate something like that. Look at your calendar and do you have a call that you don't have to be on Zoom on? Maybe it's just a call-in meeting and not on video. Why don't you go take it on a walk? Why don't you go take it from a coffee shop? Do something that'll bring you joy. Just find little ways that you can make what you need to do more enjoyable. And that will really also help you change your relationship with work because you will enjoy what you're doing that might normally, make you roll your eyes like, oh, I have to sit here and do this. So find little ways versus like, oh, I could just like throwing it out the window because you're like, oh, I can't do that.
That is so true. And I think also for those who have a less flexible schedule, maybe you're working in a traditional corporate job. I know this isn't going to be like the most fun answer, but I would really encourage you to start your days earlier. I think I used to so have the mindset, as soon as I rolled out of bed, I was getting ready to go to work. I was going to work. I was at work. But I found once I shifted, like, for example, my morning workouts, I used to be an afternoon workout kind of person, shifted my workouts for a while. I was like a 5:30 a.m. Orange Theory stan. I was a psychopath at that time. I do not recommend that. Not good for cortisol. But I will say one thing, and it stuck with me, is I've become a morning workout person. And I found that taking that hour to myself for myself before any other thing can pull my attention has been so pivotal to my day-to-day happiness. So even if you are chained to a desk from 9 to 5, which like Godspeed, but even if you are, I would encourage you to prioritize yourself first. And even if that doesn't mean you can just block off your calendar for an afternoon, it can literally mean to prioritize yourself first thing in the day by doing a morning workout.
And over the next couple of weeks, I will teach you how to become a pro at using your calendar to plan these types of things. So we'll get into that another week.
Yep. So the last thing we wanted to touch on in terms of how we can ditch this work-life balance and really live our work lives and our personal lives in harmony is, what are your goals? The thing is if you are just living day by day and you don't have a clear purpose and a clear North Star, you're going to feel like you're not getting anywhere. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care how productive you are. You're just not going to see the bigger picture. And I think a lot of times goals can be associated, especially in a corporate setting, with performance reviews or maybe trying to get that next promotion. But in my experience, one thing that I completely neglected in that phase of my life were my personal goals. I was truly just living according to if my boss said I did a good job or not. And I wasn't living according to what my values were and what I wanted to achieve on a long-term basis. So for example, something that I'm really interested in right now is personal finance and saving. I want to get married. I want to buy a house in sometime in the foreseeable future. And to do that, you need money. And in my past self would have gotten that promotion, gone to Nordstrom, blew that whole paycheck, and there goes your house. I mean, not that I was spending a whole down payment at Nordstrom, but you get the idea.
The shoes add up.
They sure do. But my point is, by having so much of your life invested in your work, you forget and you, like we were saying earlier, run out of energy to invest that same level of rigor into your personal life. So if you think back to the meditation that we did just a little while ago, And you imagine that life and you're like, okay, what am I doing today to get me one step closer to that life? And if you can't answer that question with a few solid things, you might want to rework your days a little bit. So I would highly suggest having goals for yourself on like a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. And to make sure that those goals align with that dream life that you're trying to get to. Because if your goals are things that aren't aligned, then you're going to get somewhere, just maybe not the direction you're trying to go. I think taking a moment to be honest with yourself with no judgment and realizing what you want out of life will help you narrow in on what the proper goals for you are in the short term to get to that dream life that we talked about for the long term.
100%. And I think that like that is something that a lot of people like judge themselves for about what their goals are, or like won't let them have the goals that they really want because they think they should have other goals. They think, oh, well, I should want to get promoted 3 times in the next 5 years so that I get to this point. But like, maybe that's not what you want, and that's okay, you know? So be honest with yourself about like, what do you really want your life to look like? Do you want that responsibility? Because like promotions come with responsibility. It comes with a lot more stress. Like, is that what you're looking for? And it's okay if it's not.
100%. And I look back to like when I was in a corporate setting, I was like, okay, I have to get promoted to manager before I can go leave and go do anything else. And the reality is that wasn't true. Like I didn't have a goal for myself if I wanted to get this title. I had a goal for myself that I wanted to get the heck out of there, but I saw that as the like proper way to go about it. And so being honest with myself that my goal wasn't that helped me to, when the opportunity presented itself, take the leap that I knew that was right for me.
100%. I feel like the closer you can get to your personal goals and your professional goals being in alignment and using the two to achieve the other is really the ultimate goal of achieving a balanced lifestyle and not putting work in a bucket and treating your relationship with work, your goals with work different than how you would treat anything else in life. So any way that we can prioritize harmony between those two, especially by using goals, is the ultimate goal.
Absolutely. Well said. And I just think this is the time we need to all collectively stop putting ourselves on the back burner and realize that we have multiple front burners. So if we can just kind of diversify our focus and know that we can have it all, then we can have it all.
100%.
I love that.
So these are some of the things that helped us love work again and build a life that we absolutely love. We could honestly go on and on about each of these topics and probably have individual episodes devoted, but we'll leave that for another time.
And one other thing we wanted to touch on were 2 segments that we are going to be doing every week.
Whoop, whoop.
The first being personal and professional best. So this is something that we've actually integrated in how we run our company and how we do our all hands meetings on Monday with our full team. We give everybody the opportunity to kick off the week with something from the past week that was a high, a win from either their personal or professional. We are not here to just focus on professional in anything we do. Like we just said, everything is about balance. So we want people to feel comfortable sharing, like, what are their wins? What are they working towards? And it's a way to start the week off with not just, oh, I have to get through this to-do list this week. Let's talk about where we achieved balance and where we had wins last week and bring it into this week. So with that being said, do either of you have a personal or professional best from the week that they want to share?
I have a personal best, and I was texting Logan about it this weekend, actually. So I've been traveling nonstop for the past, I would say, month. And this weekend, I finally feel like I caught up with my sleep. And for my birthday recently, my friend gifted me 3 cookbooks. So I went through all of them, pinpointed all the recipes that I want to make, made 1 cookie recipe, and then tonight I'm going to make a blueberry muffin recipe. And can I tell you, it just feels like I'm back in the flow of cooking and baking again when you're just like in the kitchen, your French cafe jazz is playing on the Alexa, you're just like in the zone on Do Not Disturb, and then you just have this like smell of like fresh cookies in the air. It's just, and then when it falls on the seasonal transition, it makes me really happy. So that is my personal best.
I feel like you just painted such a beautiful picture for us. I feel like I was right there with you. But I do want to out you a little bit. Do you want to tell the people about your pizza making experience from the other night?
Well, yeah, basically I had to have emergency maintenance come on Sunday night because I was making pizza. Lena was with Kylie, your sister. And all of a sudden my smoke alarm was going off and my air purifier was going ham. I had no idea what was happening. It turns out the little drawer under your oven, you can't store things in that's not iron. And so they caught on fire. And it was just Not a pretty sight. I was
Oh my
breathing in
God.
so much smoke, had everything open. We went on this hour-long walk after, not hour, like probably 30-minute walk after we made the pizzas, came back, and my apartment was a disaster.
Wait,
So
what? Oh my gosh,
maintenance
that is
came,
terrifying.
and I was so glad that they were here when they opened the drawer to see the things that were on fire, and like I wasn't by myself when that happened. But yeah, always call maintenance when in doubt.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying. So Nam, I felt so like you. I made this little dessert recipe the other day. I'm not really much of like a baker or like a dessert prepper. Like if I eat dessert, it's normally like some dark chocolate chips.
I knew you were gonna
But
say
that are in my freezer. But I actually like made a real dessert that like you use a cooking or a baking sheet for and put in the freezer. But it is a end of pregnancy, like labor inducing type of dessert.
No
way.
Yeah, because
What's
you're
in
supposed
it?
Because you're supposed to eat a lot of dates.
Okay, that's
in
what I
your
thought.
last couple weeks, and so like the bottom is like an unpitted date, and then you put Greek yogurt. So it's basically like dates and a lot of high protein things.
Pitted date?
No.
Yeah, pitted.
Or yeah, pitted. What did I say?
I was like unpitted. I was like, dang, we're leaving the seeds in there. That's gonna be crunchy.
I'm sorry. No, it's pitted and then opened. So like you open it flat, and then you put peanut butter, Greek yogurt. I put a little bit of honey and then dark chocolate. You melt dark chocolate on top. I'll send you guys a picture. I tried to like record a TikTok of myself making it, but it was a fail. So
A for effort.
A for effort. I was like, this is so not like me. Maybe I should do something else that's so not like me and try to make a TikTok video because I felt so
love that you tried.
Honestly, Lane, I'm so glad you waited until now to tell us this because had I known that you were eating pregnancy or birth-inducing desserts prior to us recording our first podcast episode, I would have had an aneurysm. So that's all
I was
I'm gonna say.
honestly thinking about that. Like, I'm no joke.
You were two-timing us.
That.
You were saying, "No, I'm trying to keep him in." Meanwhile, you're eating dates.
No, seriously, but they were delicious. So I'll send you guys a
I'm
recipe.
so glad.
Please do. I feel like I've made that's like the TikTok version of like a healthy Snickers bar. I feel like.
Yeah, I would say so.
I love it. Logan, do you have a personal or professional best?
Okay, so I actually do, and this one is going to shock Lane. This week, I actually started meditating.
I heard you say that, or you texted us this morning. You're like, I started my morning with a meditation, and I wanted to be like, oh my God, Logan, I'm literally so proud of you, but I didn't want to overreact.
Yeah. You didn't want to
Lane's
scare
so
me away.
proud.
Yeah.
She's like the mean girl's mom with the camcorder in the corner. But yeah.
I wanted to ask, what practice are you doing? Who are you following? What are your meditations?
Yeah. So and we'll get into this at some point, but Lane is a big Joe Dispenza fan, and she gave me her login so kindly. And I watched like one of the coursework things, but honestly, it's like a big curriculum, right, Lane? Like there's like many, many episodes.
Yeah, it's like 40 hours.
Yeah, not
of
episodes.
coursework.
Yeah, of coursework. And so I've had it on my to-do list to like watch it because I was interested. And the one that I watched, I really liked. But in my head, I was like, okay, I can't start meditating until I do all this coursework. And then I would it was such a daunting task. I never got started. So I had downloaded, I had heard in the past, and I have her podcast saved to like my downloads of Mimi Bouchard's, and I've heard good things about her app, Superhuman. And so my problem with meditation is I just like never had time to just like sit there and close my eyes and like you know what I mean? And so what I did, I heard that she had walking meditation. So I've been going on a lot more walks lately. I've been trying to walk like twice a day just to get more steps in. And I've been getting kind of bored of podcasts, because ours isn't out yet, so I didn't have that content to consume. But I've been getting kind of bored of podcasts, and you can only call your mom on the phone so many times. So I started listening to these walking meditations, and literally the first one I listened to, I was like, whoa, this was really cool. And
I love that.
I listened to another one and then another one, and I've listened to like 4 now. I even listened to like a seated one this morning.
I'm so impressed. I want you to send me the walking ones that you like, and also I have one that I purchased of Joe Dispenza's that is a walking one, so I'll send you that one.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, meditating, it's real. Who knew?
Wow. Oh my gosh. I'm so shook and I'm so excited. We can add that as one of our action items of the week.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of action items, that is our second segment that we will be doing every week at the end of our episode. The connotation that you probably have with the word action items are tedious to-do lists, things that you have to do at the end of a meeting, carry it into your week. But we are here to give you some action items that you will actually look forward to every week. And this is a way for us to bring bring a little bit more balance to your life. It is going to be a hybrid of different things. Sometimes it'll be a content tip, a book, a podcast. Other times it'll be a product recommendation. For example, these pearl clips that I'm wearing in my hair today, if you're on YouTube, this is a product that I'm just loving that was $7 on Amazon. So maybe it'll be that. But our main action item for this week is our next 2 episodes are available on wherever you're listening to this episode. We've already talked about them. These are personally 2 of my very favorite episodes we've recorded yet, on friendship and on how to start a business. So when you go ahead and wrap this up, head to one of those episodes and give it a listen.
Okay, wow, guys, we did it. We made it to the end of our very first episode.
Yay!
Hallelujah.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us on this journey. And we are so excited to have you along for the ride. If you have any questions, comments, or compliments, hit us up on social at Monday Through Sunday Pod or send us an email to hello@mondaythroughsundaypod.com. And one last thing before we let you go. If you took anything from this episode, we would be so grateful if you would be so kind as to rate, review, and subscribe. To rate means to leave a couple stars. 5 is great. To review means to leave your thoughts and comments. And to subscribe means to click that little plus sign at the top right corner on Apple. And then your downloads will be counted into our downloads for the month. And that'll really help our podcast grow.
And if you really love us, you can do that on both Apple and Spotify. Just saying.
We wouldn't be mad about that.
We are so grateful for all of you. Thank you guys for listening, and we can't wait to keep chatting. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Monday Through Sunday. If you're building a career, a business, or any relationships, we know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us.
With that in mind, we would be so grateful if you can spare 2 minutes to rate and review this podcast. Your reviews help spread the message to more people that work doesn't have to suck.
By the way, if you're looking for your community, join us on Instagram and TikTok at Monday Through Sunday Pod. We're all about connecting our like-minded listeners together. Let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about by sending us a DM. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you again, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.